Call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. If you'll please stand to the pledge of flag. Gary, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Here.
Veronica Buchanan. Here. Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Joe Michoto.
Here.
Michael Rather.
Here.
Jared Barrett.
Here.
Zane Cantrell.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We're all here. Okay, you have in your packet the the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any changes or additions to those minutes?
Move to be approved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to be approved. Have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. They are approved. The first item of business we have is a request by Jeremy Sanders, and this is located on Sledge Road. They're asking for variance relief for a side yard setback. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2018-01 involves the property at 3825 Sledge Road. The applicant is Jeremy Sanders. He is seeking variance relief of 4 feet from the side yard setback requirement of 5 feet for detached accessory structures involving a property which is located in the residential medium zoning district. And the applicant has recently constructed their home within the last year, as well as came in and got a permit for a detached garage. And both of those structures were permitted. However, once the garage was constructed, the applicant was unaware that the lean-to shed roof that was attached along the back of the garage required a permit. And he was notified to come in and obtain a permit for that, and it was he had indicated that he was 1 foot off of the property line, and that he had been in discussions with his neighbor, and the neighbor was not opposed to the shed roof. I did actually hear from one of the neighbors who was concerned about would approval of the variance impact their ability to erect agricultural fence to keep their animals in their yard, and it would not. So that was the only phone call that we received for this particular request. And this is, we posted a sign on the property. This is the recently constructed home. This is the detached garage back here, and the surrounding area, which consists of homes and farmland. And this area in blue was drawn in to show the approximate location of the shed roof and how it's not enclosed, it's open. It's just an additional roof to provide shelter for materials that the applicant would like to store underneath. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have some? Go ahead.
I got a question. Was this self-reported, or how do we find out about it?
Pardon?
Was this self-reported, or how do we find out about it?
The applicant came in and applied for the variance. When he came into our office, by the looks of our mapping, we didn't think that we should have to take the application in because it did not look like he was violating the rear yard setback. However, the applicant did state, hey, the rear line is actually much closer than what our map said. So I kept his application and sent the deed over, and they verified the property lines, and the applicant was indeed correct. And because it had recently been surveyed and there were pins, so the applicant, I don't know about the shed portion of the roof or not, but he did come in to get the permit for it because he had already put it up unaware that that portion required a permit. But he did get a permit for the detached garage.
So basically, he self-reported basically the pole barn.
He came in, I don't know if building codes caught the shed roof and sent him in. A lot of times people don't give us all the details, but he we did question why he was even in the office to apply for a variance, and he was told that it was 1 foot off the property line.
I think once they found out where the boundary line was, that's when they when they realized that it was overextended. Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please, to the podium, give us your name and any additional information. There may be some questions.
I'm Jeremy Sanders.
Have any additional information?
No, sir. I mean, there's somebody had left a note on my door from the county to give them a call about the lean-to I built towards the back of it. So I came up there, and then it kind of went from there.
Any questions? Okay, you may be seated. Thank you. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on this.
To approve, Mr. Chairman, with the staff comments.
Pardon me?
The staff comments.
Yeah.
I said, motion to approve with the staff comments.
I'm not following that last part.
Motion to approve it with the staff's comments on the...
What they,
Yeah.
their requirements that they have on there. Okay. We have a motion that be approved according to the requirements that have been written on this. Do we have a second to it?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Veronica Buchanan, Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather,
No.
Jared Barrett,
No.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by TNT Fireworks. This is on Miller's Lane and their application for fireworks. What do you have on that, please?
Okay, application 2018-02, the applicant is TNT Fireworks. It involves the location at 5435 Miller Lane. It's a request for a temporary special exception approval, allowing the sale of fireworks on the property located in the Employment Activity Center zone. TNT, over the past decade or so, has been locating their fireworks tent in the months of June through July 4th on the property across the street, which is known as the Love's Truck Stop. And there were never any issues with them operating their fireworks tent in our records. And they appeared before you every single year. Last year, Love's Truck Stop decided to install a propane tank, which prevents them from placing the fireworks tent in the same location. And so they approached adjacent properties, and Outpost Armory agreed to allow them to place their tent on their site. It's also zoned Employment Activity Center like Love's Truck Stop. We did not receive any phone calls regarding this particular application. They would be subject to all of the conditions that they were subject to in the previous approvals. It's just they are relocating their temporary fireworks stand to the site across the street. They'll have to obtain permits from the state, get a permit from the building department for the tent. The site would have to be inspected to make sure it meets the state and building department regulations. And there are fire hydrants within 200 feet of the tent location. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this? If you'll come around, please, to the podium. Maybe some questions here. This is a new site. If you give us your name and any additional.
Edward Odom, TNT Fireworks, Eastern Tennessee Area Manager.
On where the tent's at, I know it's got where you're having gravel on a path coming to the tent.
Yes, sir.
Gravel up under the tent.
If need be. Yes, sir. And I believe we are going to because the wet conditions.
Well, to meet the fire code, with it being on a grassy area, you'll have to have some kind of solid surface.
Absolutely, we will do that.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have fireworks. You can stop out there and buy your shotgun, your ammunition, and your fireworks all at the same time. Have a big time. Do we have a motion on this?
To approve, subject to any
Now-
necessary staff changes.
Okay, we have a motion that be approved. Do we have a second? Second. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Veronica Buchanan,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather, Jared Barrett,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Verizon Wireless. This is on Weekly Road and a cell tower. What do you have on this, please?
Thank you. Application 2018-03 is requesting special exception approval for the establishment of a monopole communications tower measuring 150 feet in height. This property is zoned residential medium, and the applicant is Verizon Wireless, and the site is located along Weekly Lane. The tower site is this outlined parcel. It will be located towards the front of the parcel, but it will measure 160 feet, which is greater than the tower height, to the closest property line. And the applicant has supplied us with the third-party consultant report from Larry Perry, which indicates that the tower meets the regulations in the Rutherford County zoning ordinance for cell phone towers or communications towers, and has made some recommendations that were incorporated into the staff report. We posted a sign on the property to indicate there's a zoning hearing being held, and we did receive one phone call from a neighboring property owner who was concerned about the propane tank or underground propane line. Now, once they obtain approval, if they are to get approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals, they will have to go through site plan review process to before they can establish the tower on the site to obtain the permits for the site. So this is a survey of the property. There are some existing structures on the property, a garage, a residence. There's some agricultural fields in the property. The area is surrounded by residential and agricultural uses. And as you can see, this is the elevation of the tower. They've indicated that they'll provide additional antenna to accommodate co-locations. And they are also proposing evergreens around the perimeter of the site because it will be visible from the right-of-way. And that concludes our presentation.
Just a reminder, you do have in your mail out a report by Mr. Perry. Anytime we have a cell tower that comes before us, he goes out and he reviews this to make sure it meets all federal, state, and local requirements. It's not just a decision that we make here, but also one that in any cell tower that we get an unbiased opinion, a look at it by a gentleman, Mr. Perry, who is really outstanding consultant in this area. Do we have anyone here representing this? If you'll come around, please.
Thank you, Chairman Cantrell. Joey Hargis with law firm Baker Donaldson. It's good to be back before you. This proposed tower is going to be 150 feet in height, total height, including the lightning rod. The pole itself is 140 feet. This tower is needed to help increase the coverage and data capacity in this part of northwest Rutherford County. And I've submitted evidence in the record. We fully comply with all state and local and federal regulations. And the landowners are present too, should you have any questions of me or them. But I'm here if you have any questions.
Any questions on this? Give you time to think about it.
No lights, there will be no lights on there. It's
Gary,
usually
I
the
can
first
see things
question I
going
get.
on in your head. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You've done a good job. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to come forward and speak on this, either for or against, or any comments. Close the public hearing.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to be approved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Veronica Buchanan. Joe Machoto.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Michael Rather.
Yes.
Jared Barrett. Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Do we have any further business that we
No,
need
sir.
to discuss? All members have met their requirements,
Yes.
okay? And that's in the file, so you guys don't have to worry about it this year. We'll be looking at next year sometime.
Well, so you have all of 2018 to get your 4 hours in.
Any further comments? Remember, party foul. We are adjourned.